Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode corporate filings. Today we're diving into PAR Technology Corporation's proxy statement, and trust me, it's more exciting than it sounds. Get ready for a peek into executive pay, some boardroom drama, and a vote on whether they should keep doing this whole pay vote thing every year. It's like House of Cards, but with more spreadsheets. So what's on the agenda for PAR Technology's annual shareholder meeting in June? Well, shareholders get to vote on a few key things: electing directors, tweaking some rules in their company handbook, and giving their opinion on how much the top dogs are getting paid and how often they get to express that opinion. It is basically like a school election if schools had billions of dollars. First up, shareholders get to elect 7 directors to the board. These are the folks who help steer the ship, making big decisions about the company's direction. It is also worth noting that the board recommends voting for all the nominees, which is not always the case. Let's meet a few of these potential directors. Take Linda Crawford, for example. This director has a lot of experience in AI and customer success. She is currently 61, independent from the company, and the chair of the compensation committee. There is also Narinder Singh, who is 51. He is a co-founder and CEO of a hospital healthcare company that is also independent. He is on both the compensation and nominating committees. Finally, there is James Stoffel, who is 79 years old and the chairman of the board. He brings senior leadership experience and has more than 25 years of tech experience. Moving on to corporate governance, which is like the company's rulebook. The goal of corporate governance is to ensure fairness, transparency, and accountability in a company's operations. It's worth mentioning that the board has to determine if its directors are independent, which means they are not too cozy with the company's management. One major role of the board is overseeing risk management, meaning they monitor the big threats to the company, from financial risks to cybersecurity. Now things get a little interesting with related person transactions. These are deals the company makes with people who have close ties to PAR, like family members of executives. These deals need to be reviewed by the audit committee to make sure they are fair to the company and its shareholders, or else there is a conflict of interest. One such related party transaction involves a consulting agreement with PAR Act 3. LLC Keith Pascal, a director, has an ownership interest in this company. Under the agreement, PAR Act 3 is providing consulting services to PAR. The company extended a common stock purchase warrant with a fair market value of $8.2 million to account for this relationship. A warrant gives PAR Act 3 the right to purchase PAR common stock at a specific price. Another instance is that Jeremy Pascal, the son of director Keith Pascal, is a non-executive employee of PAR. Let's take a look at who owns PAR Technology. It is important to have a good idea of who actually controls the company. As of April 9, Savneet Singh, the CEO, directly owns shares and also has shares held through a limited liability company. T. Rowe Price Investment Management Inc. holds a significant chunk, over 3 million shares. How much are the directors making? That's always a good question. Non-employee directors get a mix of cash and stock. For example, the annual cash retainer is $40,000, but the chairman gets $50,000 in value. James Stoffel, as the chairman, raked in the most with $274,228.28 total compensation. Now for the juiciest part, executive compensation. This section explains how PAR decides how much to pay its top executives. It's designed to create incentives for executives to boost shareholder value. So who are the top executives? We have Savneet Singh, the CEO, Brian Menar, the CFO, Kathy King, the Chief Legal Officer, Michael Nelson, the former President of PAR Government Systems, and Raju Malhotra, the former Chief Product and Technology Officer. 2 people left the company over the last year. To figure out how much to pay the executives, the compensation committee hired an independent compensation consultant. The company being hired was FW Cook to give them advice and data on the executive payments. The company and the committee made sure they were independent. How does PAR compare to other similar companies in terms of pay? The compensation committee looks at a peer group of 17 companies to benchmark executive pay. They looked at companies in software and tech with revenues between $150 million and $1 billion and a market capitalization between $500 million and $5 billion and a market capitalization between $500 million and $5 billion. Some of their peers for that year include UltraX, BigCommerce Holdings, Domo, and others. They change the peer group every year depending on a variety of factors. Alright, let's get down to numbers. No one got a raise. Savneet Singh, the CEO, took home $620,000 in salary. The CFO and Chief Legal Officer got $416,000. But the real money is in the incentives. These are bonuses tied to the company's performance. Submit's target bonus was 100% of his salary, while others got a smaller percentage. The short-term incentive program was based on things like annual recurring revenue and non-GAAP adjusted EBITDA. These metrics are intended to measure profitability and growth. Check this out though, those metrics were adjusted during the year to account for the acquisitions. Without that, executives would have been on track for maximum payouts. With the adjustments, they still managed to get above their target. The CEO ended up with a $933,910 bonus as a result. Let's talk long-term incentives. Think stock options and restricted stock units. These are designed to reward executives for the company's long-term success. In 2024, Singh, the CEO, got about $2.8 million in value of time vesting RSUs, while Meena got $1 million, a lot of money at stake. These also incentivized the CEO to keep the long-term price up. These awards are earned based on past performance compared to other companies in the tech space. Apparently, the company achieved a rank in the 89th percentile, resulting in 200% of the awards becoming earned, which vested upon the Compensation Committee's certification of performance. There was also an extra gift. The Compensation Committee recognized Mr. Singh's leadership and provided a $4 plan billion dollars as a result. Also worth noting that there are not any other NEOs that participate in the company's deferred compensation plan. The company can actually take back money in equity if something goes wrong, such as the company needing to restate earnings or the officer engages in injurious conduct. The company's officers have to hold 1x their base salary in stocks. Speaking of equity grants, there's a formal policy in place for the timing of these grants. This is an attempt to prevent anyone from gaming the system by timing grants to coincide with good or bad news. Finally, there's the say on pay vote. Shareholders get to give their opinion on whether they think the executives are being paid fairly. If they're unhappy, they can vote against the compensation packages. The results of the proposal will determine how often such votes will take place in the future. Shareholders will also vote on whether to approve Deloitte and Touche as the company's independent registered public accounting firm. Checking out Deloitte and Touche's fees, we can see that they billed nearly double this year from $1,079,215 to $1,960,140. Most of this increase came from audit fees. Quick note, the equity compensation plan allows the company to issue shares of stock to employees. As of the end of last year, they have almost 2 million available. And finally, the report lets us know how to submit proposals for the next annual meeting. All submissions must comply with the SEC. Now, for my take, PAR Technology seems to be doing all right. The fact that executives still got big bonuses despite the metrics being adjusted shows they were able to adapt to the challenges of acquisitions and divestitures. I'd keep an eye on those related party transactions, though, to make sure everything is above board. Thanks for watching. If you found this deep dive into PAR Technology's proxy statement helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate your support.